Hi guys, we're D.I.Y Dynamics. I'm Mike.
I'm Jay, and today we're going to show you how to paint your wheels for cheap.
Right then guys, these alloys we're working on today, these will be going on the Forester when it goes back on the road, and we're going to show you how to fix bad paint jobs, like curb damage. Again, bad paint jobs, really bad up there.
Yeah. And then you got typical things like your little chips in your paint. And it's just generally a bad paint job in overall.
Well, it's got layers of paint in it, really.
Yeah, loads of multiple layers. So we'll just show you how to break this down. Alright guys, I'm going to show you what you typically need to use for painting your wheels for cheap. So we'll start off with a high build primer. High build primer is for using the undercoat of everything. So once you've finished sanding everything down and whatnot, you'll need to use a high build primer to get any imperfections out, sand it back down so the wheels are nice and smooth. Then we're going to go for a satin black, again U-Pol. I use U-Pol for a lot of things. Try and keep all the brands the same if you can. This instance we're using U-Pol. We're going to use satin black. You can either use satin black as a satin black as it says on the tin, or in my case we're going to be doing a clear coat over the top. It doesn't really matter, it's just a base coat which has a hard finish. Then we're going to use a clear coat. Realistically you want to heat up all your work that you do, so any of the alloys, wheels and whatnot, you want to keep the heat. So we're going to go and grab a heater, make sure that the room's at a decent optimal temperature, just so the lacquer doesn't run. All the way through the process of doing your alloy wheels, you want to keep the piece clean. Anything that you're painting, this can relate to anything, so you want to use panel wipe or a thinner, but I recommend using a panel wipe. It's what the name is, what it is. In between painting, so say when we've done the primer and we go to paint the satin black, you want to typically use a tack rag so it picks up any dust particles in between crevices. With this you don't really want to push too hard on it, but it helps pick up dust. If, for instance, you can't take the wheels off the tyre, we're in a fortunate position where the car that we're using has got wheels on it, so we can take the tyres off. You can use, there is a trick with cards, or you can use masking tape, as long as there's no oily residue on the tyre, masking tape will stick. Don't need a low tack, or you can use low tack, depends what you've got available to you. So if there is chips and dents, not massive dents on the alloys, because yeah, you need to go to a alloy wheel refurbishment place to get the bentness out of the tyre or get the ding out, or any welding or cracks as well. You need to go and see a professional for that. But we typically use either a P38 to get rid of minute indentation where, say, you've rubbed up a curb, you don't really want to take the metal down too much. A little bit of filler is fine, or a fine paste, which is, this has got hardener in it, so typically it's thin, so you'll be fine. For the flat spots, you want to try and use a sanding pad, something flat and firm. This one's got a little bit of flexiness to it, or this one, for instance, very hard, can't move this. You want to try and get them so you can keep your surfaces very even and flat. And rags. So yeah, you need rags all the way through to keep the piece clean, to wipe dirt off, stuff like that. So yeah. Mike, did you get the sandpaper?
Yes, I did.
Mike, where's the sandpaper then?
1 second, I'll get the sand and paper. High grade paper. That'll sand it, right, Jay?
No, Michael. This is what I meant. Right, guys. Now we've got an understanding of what we mean by sand and paper. I'm going to basically show you what you sort of need. So realistically, to take the grot of the wheel down, you want quite a rough discs. I would recommend starting with a 120 disc. You can either use flat paper or anything, but I find using disc paper they're very durable and they last a lot longer. And typically, whilst you're going through the process, as you will see, we'll go through all the different grades of paper that you're going to need. So when you're prepping to do the high build, you're going to use a really rough paper just to get the grit of the wheel down. I'd say going with a 120 up to a 150 to prep for high build. After high build, you're going to typically use a 400 and 500 to get the wheel prepped for paint. After we've painted and we've lacquered, if you were going for a show standard finish with this, and you can do it, it is achievable, you're going to then want to use a 1200 and a 1500, then use a mop solution. We're not bothered about that, so they can go over there. We're going to use everything up to from 120 up to 500.
How hard do you want to be sanding, Jay, when you're doing this?
I mean, not too hard. As you can see, if you put too much pressure with this, because it's had a rattle can finish or a plastic dip finish, it's it binds up, so not too hard.
And what kind of colour are you looking for then once you've started like sanding? I know
you want to try and get as much of this off as possible, so there's no paint reaction.
Yeah.
So I mean, smooth. That's the aim of this. So just if you need to, run your finger around. We're just aiming for smooth for now, and then the high build will get any. But once we put a bit of filler in here, we'll get back to you. So guys, as you can see by the time lapse, we've sanded the wheels now, and you can sort of see what we have been doing. So realistically, stuff like this, you want to be able to have a nice smooth finish all over, you know, and you can highlights where the dings are as well. So yeah, that will need a little bit of filler. It may look a bit bad on camera, but realistically, it's not that deep. That can be filled. There's a few bits like here where you could spend the time and take the paint down, but I'm just going to nick a little bit of filler in there and then sand that off and smooth it out, and it'll be perfectly fine for what we need to do. But yeah, the wheel's been sanded and it's lovely and smooth now. It's about really realistically where you want to be. Realistically, you could do a Scotch-Brite bath. So basically, very liquid, warm water, and have a piece of Scotch-Brite. I do have some, but yeah, it's just Scotch-Brite. It's basically a rough pad. And you could just wash the wheel inside and out. You want to try and get into every nook and cranny possible as well, you know, so the best chance of the paint sticking to it all. So these are lovely and smooth. We've done the second wheel over there as well. Michael did that one. Again, good job.
Obviously this one is a bit more damaged.
Yeah, all the way around. It's a lot more curb brushed, so yeah. There's a lot more curb brushing on this one, so where there's going to be a lot more little bits of filler in it. It's not a problem, it won't come out, it's fine, we'll get that done. So we're going to mix filler up, then we're going to let the filler dry. We'll film doing that, don't worry, and then we're going to get to the other two wheels, and then we'll go from there for primer. Right guys, we're going to use P38 and P38 fine, it's cheap. Try not to get no dirt on that, by the way. But yeah, you want to take the oil off the top, on any of it, so you've got like an oily residue on the top, so you want to just mix that in. That helps preserve the stuff underneath. So just give that a little mix. And then we've got our trusty dandy piece of mixing filler wood. You can use anything, like the top of a piece of cardboard or an onion board. You can actually buy a Pacific one. I don't have an onion board anymore because it is at work. So yeah, I'm sure many people have heard the old term golf ball to a P, so we'll probably mix way too much, but that's not a problem. It's best to have more than not enough. Back on, so the dirt gets in there. So as you can see, we're going to set that up there.
Do you know what? I love the smell of P50.
Oh no, it smells lovely. So yeah, just literally, I'll put it here for you. That is all you need. And then we just do the typical. There is a specific way you do this,
but just get it mixed.
Yeah. I tend to rip it in two, and then spread it. Rip it in two, spread it. Rip it in two, spread it, and then occasionally you can do a little. You know, you can get fancy and creative with it, but you just really want that to look like one consistent colour. I'm sure we'll do many bodywork videos so we can, but this is just for the wheels. It's starting to look pretty consistent. There's no bits on this wood. I've used this wood many times for mixing small amounts of filler, so it is fine. But yeah, right, that's all one consistent colour now. So as you can see,
do this bit here.
Yeah, what I'd suggest you do is get all the crap off it, and then take a little bit like that, brush down so you feel, and just spread. I mean, don't worry about having to put too much on, because you're just going to take it back off again. So
you'll do, you just want to get the hole filled, really.
It's not whole.
Well,
yeah,
not the hole.
And as smooth as possible as well.
Yeah.
I mean, if there was a camera, there we go. That's it. That's realistically all that you want to do. We are going to smooth this out, but that's the gist of the story. Stuff like this. Again, a small bit of filler, and you just want to push and spread. We're going to do that. You just want to apply a small amount. Again, don't worry about. We are going to take a lot of this off, but you want to just make it as smooth as possible, so you give yourself half a chance with the sandpaper. Obviously I keep putting it on, but yeah, if it keeps going bitty and you're pulling it apart, then the filler's going off. So stop, don't keep applying it unless you're a seasoned professional, then carry on. But yeah, that's realistically, that's all you need to do. I mean, there's little nicks like this, but they're that fine that the high build will get all that out. Not worried. Little tip for you as well, if you've got a lot of filler and you want to use this again, scoop it, put it to one side like that, just let that set, and then you can break that off afterwards. As for the filler, sugar, once I get that off. As for the filler, yeah, we've put it all the way around the edge. It's a thin coating. I know it looks like a lot, but it is not at all, because it's filler, you can sand it off. But yeah, P38, it's great, it's quite durable. Some of the finer fillers, it's good for really light marks, but in this case, because it was heavy curb rashing, thick paint, we don't really want to sand those down. They're not going to be perfect, they need to look reasonable. So
yeah,
that's more than enough. If you can't get it smooth, don't worry about it. I mean, I could probably could have got that smoother with a brick, so we're fine. But yeah, like I say, it's just filler. You can sand it down. Don't worry about what it looks like. As long as the damage is covered with filler, you can make it look pretty afterwards. Just don't go OTT, too OTT. Yeah, we're gonna let this dry. We're gonna sand the other wheels down, and we will get back to you. Alright guys, so we've done all the sanding on all four of the wheels now. They're all up to date. We've sanded all of the marks out. Very light, very thin. You can't really see anything now. It's all lovely and smooth. So the next step now is to panel wipe the wheels, get them all clean, get them ready for paint. Because of space restrictions, we're going to have to paint them one at a time, put them in a place, paint another one, put it in a place, so we can do this one. This is where the panel wipe comes in handy. This is just like alcohol in a sense, or it's a degreaser, and they put a fancy cap on, so I'm going to have to pop that cap off, but yeah, it's just so it stops it from leaking everywhere. But yeah, this is just panel wipe. Idea is, boom, just wipe the wheels down. It degreases the surface, gives it the best chance for reaction, to reduce the reaction. So That's all we're going to do now, and then we'll mask up and give one of the wheels a paint.
And show you afterwards.
So guys, we're going to get ready for primer now. The best thing you can do is you need to shake these cans, tip it upside down and shake. That helps get all the stuff off the bottom. If the can feels cold as well, you need to warm it up a little bit. And I'm not on about setting it on fire, this is an aerosol, so it's a mini bomb. We've had the heater going for a while, so I mean, we can let this sit by the heater, shake it for 5 minutes, and then we'll start applying the first coat of high build.
At this stage, we're not too worried about the imperfections because we are using the satin black and it is a very forgiving colour. So once we do put the base coat on, you probably won't see much of any imperfections that we've left over. But for now, we're going to let this go tacky and then come back to it in a bit and apply the second coat.
So guys, as you can see, we've done the second coat on the wheel now. It's a bit wet, don't really want to go near it, don't want to. No real reaction because we cleaned the wheel well, so you know, if you spend the time cleaning, you won't have many reactions. As you can see, there's a little bit of pitting in places and stuff like that. You can't really see that with the wheel the way it was, so this is why we primer it, so we can get to that and we can clean it. But overall, I'm really happy with how this has turned out on the primer, so it'll be minimal work to do this next process, which is give it a 500 sand. Yeah, we're going to give this a 500 sand tomorrow now. We're going to paint the rest of the wheels, going to let these dry, give them a 500 sand, and we're ready for base coat. Right guys, it's the next day, so we let these cure overnight. We had the heater on as well, so I painted all 4 wheels, left the heater on for about an hour or so afterwards, let them all dry properly, then shut it off and let the room gradually lose temperature overnight, so it'll be fine. What you want to see is that if you're painting in your garage as well, and you've only got a little small space heater like we do in this, you want to give the paint enough time to dry. So in between processes, if you can, like today, base coat and lacquer will be done today, but with the primer, because it shrinks, you want to try and let that set overnight, and really let the aerosol can vapours evaporate and let it shrink onto the panel. This is perfectly good now, so we're going to let the room heat up and we're going to start sanding 500 today. Right guys, room's warmed up now. I'm going to start sanding, got the 500. The idea of this is not to take all the paint off, you just want to give this a light sand, just something so the paint sticks to the wheel a little bit better and to get any of the slight little marks. These are pretty good, so obviously if you've primered and you've done everything right the first time, then these are going to take less than 10 minutes to do. So yeah, I'll put you on a time lapse so you can see me doing all 4 wheels, and then I'll get back to you afterwards when we get ready for paint.
panel like these now. So you want to use a fresh rag or fresh microfiber, whatever you got laying around. Remember, these are new microfibers, there is lint in these, so you want to give these a good shake and take the tag off so you don't get no scratches. So yeah, you just want to apply a little bit in your hand, like that. Put it to one side so you don't spill it. Do not leave the lid open either, because it will evaporate. So yeah, realistically, you just want to give these a good wipe over, and then this will just evaporate. But you're just getting all the dirt and grease that you've done with touching by your hands. So after you've done this, please don't touch the panel with your hands or the alloy wheel. I keep saying panel. Yeah, don't touch the alloy or any of the paintwork with your hands, because you'll leave grease on, and that'll just help reaction happen, and then you're going to be pretty disappointed that you've got to this point and you've got to do it all again. So literally, this is still quite damp, so we're good. But yeah, just get in all the nooks and crannies, get all the little bits of dust out. Blow the panel off as well. I've been blowing these off as and when I can. You can either use compressed air, or like for this instance, they're only little, so small amount of dust, so you can just blow with your mouth. No pun intended. But yeah, just keep going round. You can't really not do this enough. The more time that you spend doing this, the better. Well, that's now ready. Put this somewhere where you don't want it to get dirty, so just put it on top of an old can or something with the lid on. Like I said yesterday, shake the can upside down. Helps get all the stuff off the bottom. These are quite cold still, so I will get back to you when these are warm, and then we'll get ready for tack ragging and base coat. What? Right guys, we're ready to tack rag now. Like I keep saying, put this somewhere so this doesn't keep getting the dirt and the bits on, but this does fold out, like so. It's very sticky. Say you don't really want to push too hard, you just want to just brush it over the top. This just helps anywhere that you may have missed to pick the dirt up. As you can see, it's picking dirt up. So yeah, panel wiping isn't the be all and end all. Tack rags, they're very cheap. So you just want to literally just gently rub over the top of the surface, just to help get any of the dirt you may have missed. Right, your can should be ready now as well, so if you put it in front of the heat, give it a couple of minutes. Say pull it off the heat as well if you've like warmed both cans up. So I've pulled one to the side, the lacquer. Like I say, just give that a little bit. You don't have to go too mad, but put this somewhere safe so it doesn't get any bits on or anything like that can scratch the paintwork. So right, gonna get ready for paint. So guys, as you can see, I'm ready to paint now. I've got my respirator, I've got the can, it's room temperature, it's not cold, panel's nice and warm, heat's been blown in this general direction. So realistically, when you're painting, this is the most important bit now. You've done all the prep, you've spent all the hard work. It's the hardest part, but it also could be the easiest if you're experienced with cans and you'll know. So realistically, you want to obviously test your can, but rule of thumb, literally rule of thumb, you want to stay around that away from the panel. So that's a good gauge to keep your spray can away, so you're not too far away where you're getting a build up of dry paint, but you're not too close where you can promote runs and stuff like that. So I'm going to paint the panel now. I'm going to record me doing this process. I've got the lacquer ready to go afterwards. We'll do a first coat of a really light coat, just so we can start getting tackiness of the paint on the first coat, and then on the second coat we're going to go not heavy. You don't have to absolutely douse it, you can do 2 to 3 coats. Realistically, I've got 2 cans, so half a can per wheel. This is good stuff. So like I say, U-Pole covers really well. Yeah, let's just do it.
first coat is done. It's the light coat. As you can see it looks very powdery. You can still see the grey, that's good. We're going to leave that for a minute or two, and then we're going to come back and we're going to give it a first coat and then review the situation after that. With the first coat, you can go a little bit tacky. Second coat, you want to go slightly heavier, so you want to cover the whole panel, and then we can pick up where we missed bits. But yeah, all the way around, you want to make sure you've got enough space to walk around the piece. We're in a very small space, so we can only do one alloy wheel at a time, which is not a problem. I mean, some people have a lot of space, so you can do all 4 wheels at one time. But this is good management for people with small spaces. Right, we've left this for a minute or two now. You can see it's gone very satiny, as it says on the can. So now we're going to go on to our second coat now, and we're going to go apply a little bit heavier, not too heavy, don't promote runs, but we can go with it. This is also, you can see a good point where you can see any mistakes that you've made in the panel. Like, primer's very good, but once you start putting the base coat on, you can really see, especially with black in the light, little marks, but I wouldn't be too worried about that, because once you put the gloss over the top, then you're not really going to see a lot of it. But like I say, black's a very forgiving colour, so you'll be alright. Right guys, it's been about 10 minutes or so. There's still a few dark patches, but I'm not going to worry about those too much, because obviously you want it to be as sticky as possible. I'm happy with the amount that's covered, stuff like that, so the next step really for me would be clear coat now. So I'm going to get ready, I'm going to clear coat, and I'll see you in a sec. We are about to do the second coat. After that, the wheel should be done. Gotta let that dry. I'm gonna give it 10 minutes after I've done the final coat, just so I can see if there's any runs or anything like that. It shouldn't be, normally quite good. I'm gonna put it in the wheel in its resting spot to dry for a few days, and then I'm gonna paint the rest of the wheels. Not gonna record that, I'm just gonna get them done, and then we can have a look at the finished product afterwards. Right, so let's get cracking. Guys, it's really smoky in here now from the lacquer. As you can see, I've done the final coat on here and they're looking really good now. So I'm going to let these dry off. I'm going to come back in 10 minutes time, I'm going to do the rest of the wheels, and then we can take a look at what they all look like. Right guys, I've done the final coat now. As you can see, I'm going to try and stay away from this. As you can see, they're very glossy. Very good all over. Once this dries, this will smooth out a little bit more, not much more, but yeah, as you can see from the light, looking really good. I'm really happy with these. Like I say, you can get a really good finish out of a rattle can. Just have to spend the time doing the prep, but yeah, really good. So happy with these. We've got the centre caps to do yet, but I can do them off camera. Same process as the wheels, but yeah, looking really good. I'm going to let these dry off for 10 minutes now, and then I'll be back afterwards. Right then guys, I've unfortunately not been able to be here today, but I've just seen the finished product of these alloys, and I'll tell you what, they look really good for the amount of money we spent on them. Yeah. A proper bang for your buck this is. Yeah. Well, that's the idea of the cheap wheel. Yeah. I mean, altogether it cost just under 70 quid. Yeah. For all of it. Yeah, just under 70. Yeah. I don't really want to say the number because it's a bit of a meme, 69. And and 2 days worth of work in your garage on a weekend, and you can make your alloys look really good for that amount of money. Yeah, just like to add as well, there's the reason why it took 2 days is because of space restrictions, one, and then obviously letting your paint dry in between goes, and the prep takes a long time as well. So like I say, the more time you spend on prep, the better the results you're going to get. So guys, we had a great response on the last video, and we're really appreciative. We hope we get the same response this time around. So if you did like this episode, if you could please share, like and subscribe, it goes a long way.
And if you don't know what we're doing in between social media,
check us out on Instagram and Facebook. Links will be in the description below.
cheers for watching, guys. Thank you.